Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to another installment of our focused webinar series. Today's conversation features two of our business analysts. We'll chat with them about some projects they've been working on, their jobs as business analysts, and what they enjoy about being in the business analysis department at Reasoning Mind. Before we jump into the questions, I'd like to just do some quick introductions. So we're Reasoning Mind. We are a math education organization. We make online math curricula for 2nd through 6th graders, and we work with schools and school districts to implement it in their classrooms. Neal came to us from finishing up his PhD in chemical physics at Columbia, and Karen joined Reasoning Mind after teaching 10th and 11th grade math here in Houston. I'm in recruitment. I'm on the talent development team, and so I get to work to find wonderful people to join our team, like Karen and Neal. So let's go ahead and jump in. We'll have 4 questions on the panel that Karen and Neal will both answer, and then we've got a surprise question for them at the end. So be sure to stay tuned for that so you can hear their answers. And if you have any questions that come up during the webinar, feel free to leave them in the chat or the comment box, and we will get back to them after the live webinar. So Karen, why don't you start and tell us about a project you've worked on here at Reasoning Mind as an analyst.
Okay, well, the first project I ever did as an analyst was redesigning our expense reporting process. So we had a process that was really complex even for expense reports. It involved dividing a lot of money between which schools you were visiting and how far away each school was. And so first of all, simplifying that and then moving it to Salesforce, which is our database where we store all of our teacher and school information. So it was a convenient place for people that work here to access all of that stuff, and just sort of designing that system for expense reports. That was my first project at Reasoning Mind.
And after you did that project, Karen, was there any sort of training or implementation of the project? What did that look like?
Oh, yes, sure. So I designed the expense reporting process, and then I had to train. I ran 2 trainings, for everyone in the Houston office and for everyone in all the other offices. We had a remote training, and now they use it.
Awesome, thanks. Neal, how about you? What's a project you've worked on since you've been here?
So a big project that I have that I sort of think of as a continuing project almost since I started is I work with our enrollment department, which is basically like our sales team. And I just work with them to sort of develop and refine their processes. So our sort of sales team faces, I think, unique challenges just because we offer a very complicated product, and we have a very long and complex sales cycle dealing with districts and all of that. And so really it's a continually evolving process of figuring out what's the best way to manage this process, and what's the best way to sort of learn from what's happened in the past and apply those lessons to what's happening this year and in the future. So as I said, it's really been a continuing project since I started, but just working with them and sort of continually refining really the way that they keep track of their enrollments, and making sure that we sort of have that information so that we can be more sort of reflective and analytical in thinking about how we're going to move forward and make decisions based on data about what's actually worked and things like that.
Sure, cool. So it sounds like between the two of you, sort of an overview of information capturing projects, being able to reflect on things that are currently happening, and as well as making things easier for our employees, helping them do their jobs better, essentially. Cool, thanks. So you both come from very different backgrounds. You had different professional experiences, different academic experiences before you came to Reasoning Mind. Can you tell us, some skills or background things that you've done that have helped you do your work as an analyst, things that you draw on day to day? Sorry, Neal, you want to take this one first?
Sure. So the biggest thing in my background that I draw on a lot is I have a lot of sort of technical experience in terms of programming and things like that, which I found, I would say, surprisingly helpful. I think that it's entirely possible to be, a very good business analyst without that background. But it's been very helpful to me to have that sort of background. Also, having the sort of academic background coming from graduate school, we work with actually a lot of PhDs in Reasoning Mind, and just sort of understanding where they're coming from and how they work, it has been helpful somewhat in dealing with some of the more PhD-heavy departments.
Sure, that makes sense. Yeah, culture fit is a big part of the Reasoning Mind world. Karen, how about you? Some skills or background experiences that you've drawn on?
Well, mine are going to be very similar, but I don't have a strong technical background. I was a philosophy major and then a math teacher. But I did take a couple of programming classes, and that has helped me a lot more than I had ever imagined when I accepted the job, which has been really fun for me because I've learned a lot of new things in an area that I wanted to learn more. And then I would say, on top of that, my experience teaching for 2 years has helped me a lot in understanding the PC perspective. PCs are in schools every day and working with teachers on things, and so understanding what's difficult about that and like what a real classroom actually looks like, I think has been pretty helpful in designing features that PCs use.
Sure, that sounds totally reasonable. Okay, let's switch gears a little bit. What do you guys enjoy about being analysts, business analysts at Reasoning Mind? Neal, we'll start with you again, just to avoid switching off.
So I think one of the best things about working at Reasoning Mind in general is just the people you work with. Reasoning Mind is really just full of really intelligent, really hardworking people. And being a business analyst in particular, we get to work with essentially everybody. We work really closely with almost every other department in the organization. So we have, as a business analyst, you get a really good understanding of the way different departments work and the way things fit together, and you get to interact with a lot of people in a lot of different departments. So I think that's one of the best things. Although I really enjoy working with Karen, it's also really nice to be able to work with a lot of people in other departments.
Sure. Karen, benefits of being an analyst?
Yeah, definitely the people that we work with are excellent, and on top of that, they're super grateful, they appreciate when processes are improved, and I think that has made my job a lot more enjoyable. Yeah, and besides just the people that I work with every day, I think the time and capability to learn new things and then take those things and actually apply them to my job has been one of my favorite things about the work that I do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you both touched on aspects of the business analyst role, which is sort of learning new things and spending some time doing independent work, but also being very collaborative and working with other departments and other people within your own team to carry those things out and apply that knowledge. So I really appreciate you giving both sort of perspectives on that. All right, before we wrap up, let's jump to the surprise question. So as Reasoning Mind employees, we all get 4 weeks of telecommuting and 3 weeks of vacation time. And I know you both really like to travel. So starting with you, Karen, if you could plan your dream vacation for, let's say, next year. Say you have all of your telecommuting and your vacation time back, where would you go, and tell us about the trip?
Ooh. See, I think I would go to India, but I'm not really sure what I would do there. I would try and get my friends to take me to their houses and show me around. But that's where I would want to go.
Awesome. Why India?
Just because I have so many friends with family there, and they're always spending like months there, and it sounds amazing.
Very cool. Very cool. Neal, how about you? Dream vacation?
I think if I were to combine my 7 weeks of time and take a dream vacation, I would probably do sort of the Mediterranean, so Southern Europe, Turkey, and Northern Africa, I would say, which would be a lot in 7 weeks, but I don't think I could stay in one country for that long. I think I would get restless and want to move on.
Sure. Have you been to any of those places before that you just mentioned?
I've been to Europe, but not Southern Europe, and otherwise no.
Cool. Excellent. Well, those sound like wonderful vacations, and I hope you guys get to take them at some point in the future. Before we wrap up here, do you guys have anything else you'd like to add about the business analyst position, about Reasoning Mind in general, about your projects? Last chance before we sign off here. All right. In that case, thank you so much, Karen and Neal, for joining us on this Wednesday afternoon. Like I said, if you have any questions, viewers, please leave them in a chat or comment box, and we will get back to you soon. Thanks, guys.